All right, so dude, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but it happens to me like almost every fucking morning when I wake up like really early.
All right.
Like either driving like my girlfriend to work, or just driving to work myself. Like if it's at 6 or something, like I'm driving down, I'm doing whatever, and my stomach it like just this like I get this thump, and I like need a shit so bad, dude.
Every morning?
Almost every morning, dude. Like it's not like oh hey I think I gotta go to the bathroom. It's like fuck I gotta go now. It's like a boom, like it just like hits me on my waist, dude. And like it always hits like when I'm farthest away or whatever. And
The
so,
most inconvenient time possible.
inconvenient times, dude. And so yesterday I was pulling up and to my apartment, and like as I was pulling up, it happened. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta go now. But like, luckily I'm here, and so I had my jacket on. I had my hands in my pockets, my keys and everything, and I was walking up the stairs, and I'm like, oh fuck, I fucking gotta go. And I don't know why. Like I was maybe I was just too tired, but like I didn't. As I was climbing the stairs, I didn't like lift my foot up too high, so like I hit like the step, and I was like gotta reach out, and like my hands were in my pockets, dude. My hands were in my pockets, and like I fucking slammed down. I face planted on the stairs, dude. Like my whole like my my right arm, like my forearm, like fucking smashed against the rock steps, and then like my shin got hit, and I couldn't see myself obviously, but I imagine it being like when you're a character in a game, like how they're just like a fucking like mannequin, just like.
Goddamn.
But that was my fucking morning, dude. And I just brushed it off and
I
went
thought it was
back.
gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like a boner story because I said every time I wake up, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be a boner story.
No, luckily not this time. Anyways, hey guys, this is the Horror Academy podcast coming at you today,
It's your boy Adrian.
and Chris. And today we're gonna be talking about a genre that's very near and dear to our hearts. It's the zombie genre today.
And I think it's safe to say it's near and dear to most of our listeners' hearts as well. Although I have met people who are not fond of zombie films, and I don't need that kind of negativity in my life.
Oh man, no. So the zombie genre is definitely something that we're really excited to do, because we have like a love towards it. Like we really like the whole zombie idea, the concept, and just like the whole apocalypse scenario too. Like that's definitely something that not only for us but for everybody. Like there was a couple years ago, everyone was like, "Hey, I got a zombie apocalypse plan," and I'm like, "That's dope." Like everyone has it, dude. Everyone wants to be able to survive a zombie.
And if they say they
epidemic.
don't, that's bullshit. Everyone has come up with some sort of scenario in their mind regarding a zombie apocalypse of any sort.
Yeah, so everyone has it, and so today we're kind of just gonna talk about some films to maybe help you prepare for such an event. We know that the government definitely has plans already.
And they're probably listening to this podcast as we speak. But one thing I wanted to mention before we get into our favorite zombie films is something I feel that it's as far as for the zombie genre, it became its own genre. So there's horror and there's subgenre. Zombie became its very own genre. There's so many films to the point where you can't say otherwise. It's its own thing, and whenever a zombie film comes out, I know everyone is stoked for it. And for me, I feel zombie films, as we were mentioning earlier, everyone makes a plan in their mind. They're one of the most thought-provoking films,
Yeah,
because not only does it make you think, holy shit, that would be a fucked world to live in, but it also makes you plan. Like, it forces you to think, what would I do in that situation? How would I save the people I love? And who can I trust? Where would I get my weapons? Where would I get my food? how long can I last, and ultimately, where am I gonna be 30 years from now in this apocalypse? And I feel everyone has gone through that thought process, and it's scary for me because I have such a large family. I come from a Hispanic family, and there's just so many of us.
Yeah.
And just thinking about that world is just terrifying. And I think that's the beauty in zombie films. It's such a crazy concept to think about.
Right. And I think like when it comes to when we think about the zombie apocalypse and like what we would do, we don't really ever think about like, okay, my family's gonna be there. You're always like, I'm gonna be in a group with strangers,
Right. That's
right? But it's like, okay, I got a lot of fucking family though.
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do about
like there's
that?
babies in my family, like
Yeah,
my grandma, my mother.
right.
Like these people are the ones you're gonna want to save right away. Like people think, like you said, they think, oh, I'm gonna be in this like ragtag survival group. But then you really think about it, like, wait, what about my loved ones? What am I gonna do?
Right. So I mean, no, I definitely understand that because it really is terrifying. Like, what exactly are you gonna do when and if shit hits the fan? But it's really interesting. The word zombie was first introduced into the American public back in 1921 as a Haitian Creole word. So that's kind of where everything begins is in Haiti. And so like the early zombie films kind of stayed true to the Haiti like tradition, like the Haiti idea.
It was like rituals where they would raise the dead, right?
Right, exactly. So the early films really showed the zombies following a master because that's how they did it in Haiti. Like that's what a zombie was. They followed a master, and so that's what the first kind of zombies were. And like around the 1950s, filmmakers started to kind of look at other ways of creating zombies, of how like the virus could spread. So instead of like using voodoo, they used methods like in Teenage Zombies, a movie called Teenage Zombies, where they used nerve gas. Or in some instances, they used aliens to create zombies. I mean, I guess if you want to be lazy about it. But there's a film. It's called The Last Man on Earth, based off Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. And this other film, Invisible Invaders, where they started to move away from that type of zombie where they're following a master. They made them... These films started making them more bloodthirsty and more dangerous, as opposed to just being like regular henchmen, if you will. So instead of following a master, they're just kind of going off like... trying to, getting off on killing things. And so that, these kinds of films where they started being more dangerous, it paved a way for the post-apocalyptic type zombies, the Romero zombies, where the zombies that we know of today, the ones that kind of take over the culture now. And so Romero is actually like kind of intuitive about it. He created three features that if we were to describe a zombie, we would use these features. He made them hungry for the living, so the zombies would go out and
Right.
try to eat the uninfected. He made it so that they could only be killed by the brain or cutting its head off, so brain damage. And also, he figured out a better way of creating more zombies, spreading the virus, and that was by from a bite, being turned from a bite. So these three features he was able to kind of incorporate into his films and revolutionize is the word I'm trying to say. Revolutionize the zombie to what we know of today. And that really is depicted very well in the 2004 Zack Snyder remake of Dawn of the Dead. That like really hits on the mark, I think.
One of the all-time greatest zombie films of all time. If you disagree, get out. But Dawn of the Dead remake, 2004. I think that kind of launched zombies back into the mainstream. it was such a huge success. It kind of reminded us of just how crazy that world would actually be, and it was such a gritty and gory and dark film. And I think I can speak for most of us, even you listeners, that this film had a big impact and kind of shaped our or modified our horror taste even to what we have it as today.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're definitely right. It was a huge success, I think, because, I mean, it had a budget of $26 million, grossed over $102.4 million. So it really, hit the mark. What's really great, like I mentioned earlier, it was directed by Zack Snyder, whose filmmaking style I absolutely love. I admire it. From the way he's telling the stories, from the way he's directing, he's putting in a lot of hard work. These days, he's doing a lot of DC stuff. He did Batman vs. Superman, which a lot of people didn't really like too much.
Fantastic movie.
Great film, yeah. And the screenplay was also by James Gunn, who on the other side is doing work for Marvel, directed Guardians of the Galaxy. So this film was, it's my favorite of the zombie films. It kind of like it kind of made people start thinking about their zombie apocalypse plan. Where would you go? How would you survive? What would you do, pretty much? And so that's for a movie to really kind of make people think, or for a movie to make people think, that's great. It interacts with the audience. It's something that every movie should be able to do, is have make their audience like think about these kind of situations, or the situations that it's portraying in the film. So I really love the movie. It has let me see here. So it has Sarah Polley as Anna, and Ving Rhames.
Oh, Ving Rhames,
the legend,
the myth, the man, Ving Rhames
as Officer Kenneth. He's a real badass dude in the film. And of course we have Jake Weber as Michael, and McKee Pfeiffer as Andre. I think the film was it like earlier, because Romero, when he did his zombie films, he started introducing a lot of gore, and that's something that the other films never had. He or didn't have as well as he did. He started to increase the cinematography of gore. And Dawn of the Dead, this remake, really capitalized on that. So we see headshots, we see blood splattering, wounds, all sorts of things. And it really kind of paints a really dark and horrible picture of what we become and what can happen.
Right, in that world.
Yeah, in that world, end of days there. So with Dawn of the Dead, I remember getting the DVD, and I was with my sister, and we were watching it, and we started watching the special features, and there's this character in the film called his name's Andy, and he's alone in a gun shop, and one of the special features was seeing his video diaries of his days as they progressed, him by himself, and his mind kind of getting crippled from how lonely he was. And as I was watching this, it was just really raw and really, just genuine. The video was kind of cutting back between him surviving and like his family back in the day. And later on in the film, if you've seen the film, he gets bit and he turns, and that's actually caught on camera. Like you see him like turning, and it's scary, dude. Like he's just like talking on the walkie-talkie, and he like drags his bloody fingers down the screen, and like the camera's like has blood on it, and he's down for like a couple minutes, and he wakes up again as a zombie. And I was like, oh shit, this is pretty nuts. And another thing that they had for the special features was they mimicked like a news report. So they were showing like that they were doing news coverage on the zombie apocalypse, like as the disease was spreading and things getting worse, and like as it progressed, you see like the news anchor like kind of talking, like he's like really disheveled, and like you hear the growls and snarls coming outside of the studio, halfway through, I'm like, hey, I don't think this is fake. I think this is real, dog. Like, I was like really young, so I'm like, yo, this is real. This actually happened. I started fucking scaring myself, but obviously it didn't happen. But it was, I don't know, it really reeled me in, and it just fucking didn't let go.
Oh yeah, man, it's just it was just a masterpiece of a film. Like, and this was in the special features, and it still hooked
Yeah.
you, man. Like, it's just all in all, anything involving this Dawn of the Dead remake is just incredible. Everything in it, the gore, the celebrity shootings from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Shot Donald Trump in the head, which is beautiful. I just loved every bit of it. The fat lady grossed me out.
Oh my
The
god.
pregnant lady and the zombie baby.
Oh,
that
man.
shit was crazy, man. Like,
Yeah.
oh, man, and it did put into that one. That's the first film that actually had me thinking, like, what the hell would I do in that situation? Like, even when they drive off in the modified vans, like, still, like, you're still screwed. Like, these
Yeah.
are, like, this is a plague that's taking over the world, and there's just a few of you, and yeah, man, that's the first film that had me thinking, like, holy
Right,
shit,
dude.
man, like, I think I'd be dead immediately.
It's like a screw you kind of world there. One of the things that like I thought was interesting was when they go into the mall and they put up like SOS signs on the roof, and they start seeing like a horde of zombies just emerging, like just walking into the parking lot and surrounding them. And Anna is like, why are they walking here? And the police officer Kenneth is like, well, maybe it's off of instinct, maybe they're coming here because something in them is like remembering to, about this place, about coming here, like they used to come here all the time. So it kind of gave a little glimpse of like maybe they have some sort of consciousness beyond like just eating and running and all that stuff. But Dawn of the Dead was really good. It's actually one of my favorite zombie movies, like I mentioned. And so we were talking about like how the zombie concept and the films have kind of moved on over time, and how they've just kind of evolved over time. And one thing that one film or franchise really that kind of moved or took a step further that I don't think any other zombie films are really doing, maybe because they don't have the rights or something, but that's Resident Evil. That franchise, as the movies go on into like the third film, we start seeing more advanced zombies.
Yeah, like the virus that makes them into zombies, it evolves, and some of these zombies become like these like monsters, these creatures that are sentient. Like they know, they can speak, and they're just villains at that point.
Yeah.
Except Nemesis and whatnot. But for the most part, like the big villains, like they are infected by the same virus that has these zombies, walking around the earth. But yeah, they definitely did take the zombie concept and took it a big step forward compared to what we know as the average zombie.
Right. I mean, the first two films they were easygoing. They just regular zombies with the added those weird ass dog things. Not the Rottweilers, but
the
the one with the
creatures.
big ass tongue, the
Yeah.
Gene Simmons tongue, like those fucking things, dude.
Those Gene Simmons Resident Evil creatures.
And I mean, with the exception of those, that one in the first film came like in the last act. But for the most part, it was like just regular zombies. The film, that first Resident Evil's film, had a $290 million budget, and it grossed $1.2 billion. So it definitely made a name for itself. I think it's because a lot of people have. It had a fan base from the games,
Right.
So it kind of carried over into film, so I'm not surprised. It was written by Paul W.S. Anderson as far as the first one goes, and it has Mila Jovovich, I think is her last
Michelle
name.
Rodriguez.
Jovovich as Alice. She's like the only character or actress who's in all of them. Like everyone comes in once in a while. And this first film has Michelle Rodriguez as well, who's a badass as always. We get 6 films that span from 2002 to 2016. I think was the most recent one. Yeah, I mean, dude, like we struggle with like, what if zombie apocalypse happened? We're talking about like, what if they're slow? What if they're fast? But,
Yeah,
like,
it's bad enough with the average zombie.
yeah, exactly.
And then you look at Resident Evil, and it changes everything, man. Like, you have to be someone like Alice,
Right.
that is a ridiculously athletic, can fight and can shoot a gun, which, let's be real here, not all of us. I would say most of us can't do that shit.
No, dude, you can't. And like it's a wonder that the human race isn't entirely destroyed because these zombies are so advanced. It's like, how did anyone have a shot at?
And not only is it just the zombie, it's that system that's controlling everything, that's causing this outbreak.
Oh, right.
So you're screwed either way. Like, this is a government level shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the first one took place in just that lab, and that's all where we really saw Resident Evil just take place in that underground lab.
Right. I mean, I think at one point, like in one of the films, I think maybe Retribution, there's these like huge characters, huge zombies.
Bitch.
Huh?
It's a huge bitch.
It's huge, bitch. With like a burlap sack over their faces and like axe. And they were shooting at their head like several fucking times, and they didn't go down. And I'm like, okay, what do you want from me? You know what I mean? But the second film, Apocalypse, was by far my favorite out of all 6 of them. It had, because the first one was taking place in a lab. It was great. The second one was more urban. It was out in the city. It was just trying to survive, trying to get out of the city. So it was much more kind of like all the other zombies that we know, like Dawn of the Dead. It was very rural. You know what I mean? So, urban. So that's what I really liked about it. And of course, it kind of hyped it up with Nemesis. Throughout the whole film, trying to find Alice, and then that final showdown was dope as hell. So that's definitely my favorite film.
My favorite happens to be the third one, Resident Evil Extinction.
Yeah.
That one, I guess we could have even put that one to the road trip episode, because they're like traveling, like it's just like 5 vehicles total or some shit in this ragtag group. And I think Claire happens to be in that group.
Yeah.
Alice finds her way to this group, and they're trying to survive. This film was my favorite just because it was like this desolate planet, and everything looks so dried, and pretty much the earth at this point is just withering away. Mm-hmm. And it's just this group trying to survive, and every stop they make seems like they encounter the undead. And I don't know. That movie, I feel, was the most well done out of all of them. That one happens to be my favorite. Yeah.
Dude, that one had Ashanti in it, didn't it?
I think so, and Mike Epps. Mike Epps was already in Apocalypse, but
yeah. So that was funny to see, like, Ashanti. Like, I think after that, I've never heard of her again.
I don't think so either. Me either.
Yeah, I think she's doing music, but like it's not reaching as it used to. But one of the things that these zombie movies have pretty much in common is they never mention the word zombie. It's like they're all living in a world where the concept just never existed, so they never mention it. So it's really kind of refreshing to see when they do. That's what we see from Zombieland. Is they talk about it, they're like, hey, it's a zombie. They mention the zombies. Zombies do exist in their world. So it's really funny to see. It's a great comedy horror zombie film with Jesse Eisenberg as Columbus. Of course, you got the great Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee. Very iconic character.
Absolutely.
Wichita, played by Emma Stone. And Abigail Breslin as Little Rock, respectively. But the movie was directed by Ruben Fleischer, written with Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. It was back in 2009. Feels like a long. It honestly feels like it was. Actually, no, 2009 seems right. Like it feels like a while now. But it had a budget of $23.6 million and grossed $102.4 million. So it definitely was a hit. It was a great film. Absolutely loved it. It actually even grossed like $60 million in like the first 2 weeks. So I mean, this film, it had like a lighter take on the zombies, but it was gritty.
And the gore was definitely there. Like the death, like the whole montage in the intro of everyone like getting eaten and dying. That shit was so brutal, and they managed to make it hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, especially the lady that flew out the windshield and just her head bounced like 6 times. You can see the skid marks on the road. Like, God. That was so brutal. I kind of felt bad for her, but it was hilarious.
It was hilarious as fuck, dude.
Yeah, this movie, I think it's like, even though it is a horror comedy, it's one of the better zombie movies out there.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's this group that we had previously mentioned. They abide by they abide by a set of rules how to survive on this world infested with zombies. Well, Jesse Eisenberg's character at least, but yeah, it's just them. Dude, this could have even been on the road trip episode as well.
Oh, that's right, huh?
So yeah, they're on the road. They come across Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin. They get tricked into losing their car or their weapons at first, but they end up becoming friends and getting on this journey together. But man, this movie is great. Woody Harrelson I think this movie is actually what made him one of my favorite actors till this day. I ended up watching Zombieland, I think 3 times the month it came out. I watched the premiere, loved it, had to tell some of my cousins about it.
Yeah.
Watched it again, and I think I saw it later that month with my dad or something like that. But this movie is incredible, guys. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it.
Yeah, I think with Woody Harrelson, I think it was I think this movie was a film that kind of, took him to like almost like it gave him more roles, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it made him more of a well-known.
He was already a well-versed actor, and he in the roles he would land where he would do fantastic in. But I think people realized the caliber and just how likable that Woody Harrelson is.
Yeah.
And you're right. It did probably help his career at that point.
But dude, like, it was, I don't know, I had a lot of fun watching that film. It's pretty, I don't know, it's interesting as hell to see. But I had a friend back then who he like, we loved the film, and he one day, like, we were hanging out, and he like showed me, he was like, hey, like, I made a duct tape wallet. Like, I figured out how to do it just like from watching it. Like, yeah, I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, so yeah, I made it from scratch. I'm like, that's fucking dope. But yeah, it's a reference to the film where he takes out a duct tape wallet that he made with his like kid, what Tallahassee did with his kid, and that scene was just really heartbreaking to watch. But
when he cries and he has you in the feels, you're sitting there, you see Woody Harrelson crying over his dead son, and then he wipes his tears with $100 bills.
The film also has the first cameo it has was with Amber Heard. It's not really a cameo, but it's just her. She has a small role.
Has a small role.
And then, of course,
God, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. And then she had, or then they have Bill Murray, whose whole
Bill fucking Murray.
But that whole role of him was fucking iconic, dude. I loved it.
It was genius, and like even his death scene was the funniest shit ever. When he like has his dying breath, but then takes another breath. Like, I think Tallahassee touched like the wound, and he goes, it's still tender.
And then Abigail Breslin's like, "You have any regrets?"
Garfield. Oh, that was so brilliant. I loved it. I love that movie.
That was hilarious, dude. But yeah, no, it's a great watch. I'm pretty sure like almost everyone has already seen that film except for old people, because it just doesn't interest them. The film is great. They were talking about doing a sequel or like a TV show about it, I think.
Oh yeah.
No word on that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really looked into that, but we obviously haven't had any sequels or anything like that. So for now, I mean, just gonna have to deal with the one. But the movie is fantastic. So it's not the first like comedy take on zombies. The first zombie film that I really watched that was both gritty as it is hilarious is Shaun of the Dead, over across the pond in London. This film was really, I loved it so much. It's right next to Dawn of the Dead for me. And when I first watched it, I thought this was the sequel to Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I did too because of the name of it. I was like, man, what is this? And then when I saw the trailer for it, dude, I was like, I don't know if I can do a comedy zombie film.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be an absolute, at this point, I feel it's a classic film. Mm-hmm. And I remember, dude, I feel like at one point, every time I came over to visit on Saturdays, you would be watching Shaun of the Dead all the time. And I don't blame you for it, dude. That movie was hilarious. The cast was amazing. And it was just gory and gritty. And every element that you would want in a film was there.
Yeah, it was really nice and refreshing to watch. They even kind of mentioned like the word zombie, but like what is it? They just kind of reference it, like, don't say that. It's ridiculous. But the movie, it stars Simon Pegg, Nick Frost as the best friend, Ed, Kate Ashfield, Lucy Davis, and Dylan Moran, who's like a big comedian over in London. It was actually directed and written by Edgar Wright. Simon Pegg also wrote it. When it had a budget of $6 million and then it grossed $13 million, so really not that bad. It was pretty good. The film, when I think in an interview, Simon Pegg was saying like they were aiming to make it like a date movie, and it's funny because it's like it's so gory and there are parts of it where it's like nasty, and it's like this is a fucking date movie.
I guess I can kind of see where that goes, because there are some really like heartfelt parts in there.
Yeah,
and it's about a guy trying to get his girl back,
right,
and him trying to prove himself not only to himself but to her. And I guess those elements, in that sense, that it could have been a date movie. And I mean, any horror movie in my eyes is a date movie.
Oh hell yeah!
But of course, not everyone sees it that way. But as for me and Chris, definite date movie.
Definitely, for sure. I like when I watched the movie, like after a couple run-throughs, I realized how much kind of foreshadowing they had in the film. Like they what was it? Oh man, there was oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to remember, but they were referencing like they talked in the opening act. We were getting to know the characters and like the relationship between Shaun and his girlfriend Liz, and just they were saying bits and pieces there. Like for example, there's a scene where Shaun is walking down the road and he meets one of his friends. I forget her name. Diane, or no, it's just some lady. And she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, surviving." And then like later down at the third act, they're down to just Shaun and Liz trying to survive. Some military group comes in, led by that same friend who spoke with Shaun, and she's asking like, "Hey, so how you doing?" And like, surviving. Yeah. So it has a bit of foreshadowing there. when I went back though, like they had like a fun facts special features thing. So and when I was watching the film, like they would have little fun facts on it. And there's a scene like after Shaun gets dumped by Liz. He and Ed are at the pub and they're like just drinking, and he's like so heartbroken, he's crying, and Ed was kind of saying like, hey, tomorrow will be a better day. He's listing all the things they're gonna do, and the fun fact thing was like he's listing what happens in that day, like what actually turns out to be. He's like, we'll have a Bloody Mary first thing. We'll get a bite of the king's head. This and that. Yeah.
Bloody Mary was the
cashier lady who stumbled into their backyard
and was impaled.
Oh God,
by
dude.
that pole.
By that pole.
I love that scene, man. It's so hilarious because they just start throwing shit at her face. Dude. They don't know what to do. Oh my God, dude, that shit was so funny. And then the bite of the king's head
was the Shaun's stepdad, who, as they're trying to escape, they're picking them up, and a zombie like pops up from behind his stepdad, who's played by Bill Nye, great actor, and bites him on the neck. I forgot what else Ed mentioned, but those are kind of the things that he was referring to. But dude, that scene where that girl gets impaled is so brutal, dude.
Yeah,
it's so clean cut, and like you're wondering like what the fuck, like, because it's a baseball tee, and it has like a hole in.
Yeah, it's a tube.
It's a tube.
So when I first saw that scene, like my immediate thought, and I don't know if you guys think this way, but my immediate thought was, okay, she was impaled, and there's like a clean hole in her torso. Did all that flesh get packed into the tube? Is there flesh just packed in there, just in this perfect silo? Like,
and like also it ripped her shirt, like her jean jacket and like her clothes. Like there's like it's there like a fucking sandwich, dude.
Yeah,
like that shit was nasty.
It's kind of like when you take a can of Campbell's like cream of mushroom or something, you get it out on the plate and it comes out in the shape of the can. Like if you you would think,
that's nasty, dude.
So that was my thought process in that whole scene when she got impaled by that pole.
Right. Oh man. Another thing that I remembered about the whole foreshadowing thing, Shaun's roommate, I forgot his name. I forget his name, dude, but they have a roommate who does not like Ed. Like he's just like a freeloader, and he's just kind of making fun of him, kind of picking on him, and Shaun's like, "Oh, leave him alone," and all that. And at the third act, when the pub is getting overrun by the zombies, that same roommate is there, naked, because he's naked when he's a zombie. Like he's about to take a shower and he turns, I guess. So he stumbles into the pub and he's naked, and Shaun or Ed, he's like, "Hey Shaun, look who it is!" Like he's happy, like, "Hey, look who it is!" It's like it's a fucking zombie. Like you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And, like Ed like gets him in a chokehold because he's about to like the roommate's gonna bite him, so he gets him in a chokehold. He's like, "Oh, that'll teach you to bite me, you prick!" Like, what are you doing, man? And so he bites him and shit, unfortunately. And then Shaun, who has like a Winchester rifle, he's like, his name's Pete. He's like, "Pete, I said leave him alone," and then reference to back in the first act. So that movie is a gem. I loved it absolutely. It was a fun ride. It's great. I definitely recommend watching it. Just for laughs, just for a good time. Like it's not gonna really make you. It's not very thought provoking, but it's a really nice time. The cast is great. The film is great. I absolutely loved it.
All right, and moving on here.
And so switching gears now. So we want to talk about this. We talk about something from a different country, from London. We're going to talk about a different film as well. That's from
South Korea.
This film. So the way that zombie films work, in my eyes, is that like the plot is the same, is almost the same pretty much in every zombie film. It's zombies take over, the end of the world happens, a group of people have to survive. And so what makes a zombie movie great is focusing instead of the plot on characterization, on the characters themselves. If you have characters that don't matter, if the people don't care about, then you're not going to have a story that the audience cares about. Like, you can have a great plot, but if we have no one rooting to root for, then it's going to flop like hell. And so from South Korea, we get this film called Train to Busan. And they really do know how to capture characterization. And I fell in love with this movie right away. So it follows this guy, this stockbroker, something like that. I don't know. I forgot what exactly he's doing, but I think his name is Gong Yu. I'm not going to try to pronounce these names because they're, of course, South Korean, so they're really going to be toughy. So it follows this guy as he's, working really hard to provide for his daughter. He and his wife are divorced, and his daughter feels like he's just not always there, and he's breaking his back trying to make ends meet. And in his job, he kind of rips people off. He kind of fucks people over, pretty much, is how it is. And so the story follows him as he takes his daughter over to her mom, as she requested, by train. And that's when all shit goes to hell. But as you watch, his character arc starts to form, and he goes from just kind of leaving people behind to, joining with people and fighting with them.
Common cause.
Right. So it really shows they were able to kind of take this character and the other characters as well on a journey.
Absolutely, man. This film, there was hype behind it when it first came out. I forgot how I came across. Someone made a post somewhere, and I had read it, and it prompted me to watch the trailer on YouTube. So I put on the trailer, and it looked decent. It didn't look bad. I was like, you know what? I might as well check it out. So I ended up, I think I rented it a total of $6. And I ended up watching it. Loved the film. I started telling everyone I knew about it. So yeah, it's the concept of this man and his daughter and the other passengers being trapped in a speeding train that has zombies in it, and in itself is just one of the most fucked up situations that you can possibly imagine yourself, especially in a zombie apocalypse, or at the beginning of a zombie apocalypse. But yeah, the zombies, and I'll say this now, these zombies are the most Asian zombies of all time. These zombies are so Asian in the sense that only Asians would make the zombies contort and twist and run and climb over each other the way they do in this film. I feel like Romero zombies, they're more like the sloppy, clumsy, and very just dead-headed, kind of zombies. Train to Busan, they're more like rabid.
Yeah.
They're just these vicious things that just contort. They kind of look like possessed humans, in a sense, and it's just so vicious, and it's crazy, man, just to watch these zombies turn very fast in this film.
Really.
And there are scenes where these zombies are chasing the survivors in the train, and they're toppling over each other, similar to what we see in World War Z. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's cinematic gold. It did look a little cheaper, on the cheaper side, but I understand it wasn't a gigantic budget for this film. Mm-hmm. But for what it was perfect, and I bought into it. It was intense.
Yeah. There was a scene where when it started happening, on the train, and the zombies are kind of start forming, and they start gaining numbers. the passengers start noticing what's going on. They like take off to further ahead on the train, and there's a part where like they run. There's a couple in the film. This big burly guy and his wife who's like really small and petite. She's pregnant, and they're running away from the zombies, like being the last of the passengers to do so. And dude, there's a part where one of the zombies was like on the ground, and he like pulled he was on his neck, dude. Like he like just lifted himself up using his neck, like his arms just flailing by his side.
Oh,
and I'm like, dude, like someone had to have broken their neck, man. Like, is that the first time you see like they like he just pushes himself up with his neck?
I feel like they managed to get like stunt men specifically for these zombie roles, and I feel like each of them were. I feel like all of them were stunt people.
Yeah,
because the way they moved and the way how violent they fell, like there's no way like they weren't trained to do this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it was vicious, man, and I don't think you can pay me enough. Well, actually, just for the fact that I'd be in a movie, I'm down. Pay me whatever. But I'm pretty sure they weren't paid a whole lot to put their bodies through what they went through in this movie. But if you watch this movie, you'll know what we're talking about. It's absolutely insane, beginning to end. It'll capture you. The end gets a little feelsy.
Oh man. Definitely.
But they ended up making I guess some sort of sequel to this, but it's an animated film.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about it. I have a lot of friends that are into anime and stuff like that. I am not particularly a fan of anything animated, but I'm thinking I might give it a shot just because I loved this film so much, and I just hear good things about it. So I think it's gonna be worth the watch for that.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in watching that as well. There was this character in the film who was like this Asian, like they're all Asian, but he was like this businessman. He was this businessman, and very quickly he starts trying to take over like the way things are run there, and so there's this part where they they stop at a bus station or a train station, I mean, and trying to find the military that was stationed there. Ends up that they're all turned, and they lose half their numbers trying to escape. Like these military guys who are now turned, jumping on these passengers and like just tackling them, fighting them, eating them. And so we get like a small group that survived. Well, actually, no. Like I said, half their numbers were down, but
there was a lot of no names.
No names, right? But those are a smaller group that was able to, the main cast anyway. They came inside to the train, but they were like really far, and they had to fight their way through hordes of zombies, like in each train car. I thought that was badass though. Like the big burly guy, he's like wrapping himself up in I don't know, fabric or something, and he's like He talks to this baseball player, the last of his team. You in the middle. He talks to the business, the stock market guy, who's the main character. Is like you in the back, and like I'll take the lead. And I'm like, damn, dude, this is.
I wouldn't do that. Put him in the back.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do that, dude. I'm not gonna be the badass guy in the zombie apocalypse. I'm gonna be the smart guy. But yeah, that character was awesome. He was the muscle and the comedy of the film.
Really good.
Unfortunately, he perishes in under the weight of a bunch of zombies. They just kind of tear into him. But not without a fight though. He starts wrecking some of these zombies.
Yeah, dude.
Like, oh, he needs some milk kind of shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, this movie, I highly, highly, highly recommend you watch it. I'm excited because I did hear a rumor of there being a Hollywood production of Train to Busan. Obviously, it wouldn't be to Busan. It would be, I don't know, L.A. or some bullshit.
Train to L.A.
Yeah, but if they do make it Hollywood, I know a lot of people are going to be mad. They're going to be like, oh, why'd you have to take this, blah, 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 whatever. I'm stoked for it because it can actually be a good film, especially if they add, the gore that we usually see in American films.
Yeah.
If they add gore to this, more so than what Train to Busan had, which was mild to say the least. I think it would be amazing. And I already have like the cast planned in my mind and whatnot. But
Who did you have?
for the main character, in my mind I casted Steve Zahn.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know why, dude. I find myself casting films that haven't been made yet, and I just always find the weirdest people to play the roles that are supposed to be the main roles. And for Train to Busan, I would like to see Steve Zahn in the place of the main character. I just feel he would fit perfect into it. Like for example, The Last of Us, which is a video game about zombies. The main character is this like rugged older dude with a beard, and people are like, "Oh, it should be Hugh Jackman. Oh, it should be Gerard Butler." My mind went straight to Mel Gibson, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mind went straight to Mel Gibson and even like John Hamm or something like that. I don't know. I like casting actors for roles that haven't even been created yet for films. I don't know if you do that, but I definitely do that.
Right. No, I don't do that as often. Yeah, no, I don't really do that.
It's fun. It's fun for me. But yeah, for a Train to Busan, that definitely would be who I would cast.
Right.
Chris, I wanted to mention something on the podcast.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, our co-host here, Chris, has written a book.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I wrote a book called Sapiens. It resembles a lot of zombie attributes. They're not actually zombies. I think it fits with this though because it's a post-apocalyptic story. Instead of zombies, there are these crazed individuals. A virus that turns people into crazy maniacs out to destroy anything they can, out to kill anyone they can, and it follows these three teenagers who are trying to find a new colony after their previous one gets burnt to the ground by these crazies, and it shows them as they try to find a new colony in the face of losing their faith, losing their humanity, and losing their sanity as they fight against these crazies and other lawless bands of survivors. So yeah, that's the book. It's called Sapiens, like Homo sapiens. It's actually out on Amazon now for ebook and paperback.
What is the price of your book, Chris?
So ebook right now it's at $2.99 and the paperback is at $7.99. So definitely get them now. I mean, they're pretty cheap, so they're not that bad. So I mean, if you have ebook, if you have Kindle, you can buy the ebook and read it instantly. So definitely go out and check it out. It's a good read, I would say, of course, because I wrote it.
I would agree. I have not finished it yet because I've never been good at reading books all the way through as fast as like my brothers do and whatnot. Or Chris is a reader as well.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell you guys, this book, from the very first paragraph, it hooks you. I'm not just saying this because like you're the co-host of the podcast and you're my brother. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm saying this like legit, dude. This shit captures you right off the bat. So for those of you who are readers and are into post-apocalyptic, or even if you're not into that genre of books, go ahead and check it out. You know, it's not that bad of a price. I bought my copy already, so go on Amazon and check that out.
Awesome. Thank you for mentioning that up. It's pretty dope. But yeah, I mean, right now, like we said, I don't know if we mentioned it, but these films are some of our favorite ones in the zombie genre. We'll definitely revisit this later down the road. Kind of tackle some foreign stuff, some indie zombie flicks, things people haven't really heard of. For now, we just wanted to tackle the big houses that we thought were really cool. Train to Busan was just too phenomenal to leave out. So that, I believe, is going to do it for us today. Yeah, this was a zombie genre. Definitely keep an eye out for the next one we'll do, because it's too big of a genre not to do another episode on. But as always, I am Chris.
And I'm Adrian with the Horror Academy podcast. We'll see you guys next time.